Council Road. Hope you're doing well. I have a question for you. What does it look like to live the Christian life well? What does it look like to finish the Christian life well? We're in Acts 18 through 20 today, and in these 3 chapters spanning many years, Paul travels hundreds of miles. Relationships and mentoring were a high priority for him. This community of holy friends. We see Priscilla and Aquila, a strong husband and wife team who ministered in the early church. We also see Apollos, a gifted preacher, Silas, Timothy, and the Ephesian elders. We also see the effects of the gospel going out. Many believed and were baptized. There were extraordinary miracles. There was a decrease in idol worship. Those practicing witchcraft renounced their ways and burned their books of spells. Then there was Eutychus, the young man who nodded off while sitting in an upstairs window listening to Paul preach on, and fell to his death, only to be raised to life. But who hasn't nodded off on occasion? But it was chapter 20, verse 24, that summed it all up for me. Paul writes, "I consider my life worth nothing to me, if only I may finish the race and complete the task the Lord Jesus has given me, the task of testifying to the gospel of God's grace." Paul knew that hard times were ahead, but what mattered most was that he finished the race that God started and finish it well. You know, we all want our lives to count. We want to finish well, but not all do. Some finish poorly, like Samson and Saul. Some finish so-so, and some finish well, like Moses and Joseph. Paul finished well because he intentionally lived it well. Here are 3 thoughts about that. Number 1, he had an intimate walk with God that grew as he got older. A friend of mine says it this way: the depth of intimacy with God is tied to the breadth of ministry. I'll say that again. The depth of intimacy with God is tied to the breadth of ministry, deep and wide. Number 2, Paul was a learner, a true apprentice of Jesus, who recognized new leaders and mentored them. And then number 3, as we say at Council Road, Paul was all in. He allowed God to use every part of himself, his background, his training, his citizenship, his mind, and even his weaknesses. No part was wasted. So what does it look like for us to finish well? Cultivate your relationship with God, deep and wide. Be a lifelong learner and invest in the next generation. And be all in. You'll never know all he can do with you until you allow him to have all you are. Remember, the way you live your life now will ensure that you finish well.